The Fakie Bigspin. For this trick, you ride fakie, give the board a shove so it does a backside 360, while your body does a backside 180 at the same time. This is a great trick for beginners to learn because while it may seem like it has a lot of moving parts at first, once you get into trying it, you'll see how much easier it is to rotate the board when you're riding fakie. The only things you should know how to do before learning this trick are fakie shove-its, fakie backside pivots, and then this one's optional depending on whether or not you want to learn how to pop this trick, but learning half cabs could help too. The main parts to this trick are the pushing down on the tail and shoving with your back foot, the rotation of your hips and shoulders backside, and then just letting the board fully rotate while you turn with it in the air. For the foot positioning of this trick, even though you're riding backwards, I'm still going to refer to your front foot as your front foot and your back foot as your back foot. So I usually put my back foot a little bit in the pocket, but also a good amount on the tail, depending on how much pop you want to get out of it. And my front foot stays a few inches below the bolts, maybe slightly angled, and with most of my foot on the board with a little bit of my heel hanging off. So earlier I mentioned that you could learn half cabs if you want to pop this trick, but I'm going to mainly focus on the easier way, which is just shoving the board around. And then if you want, you can start adding the pop in yourself, because everything else should pretty much be the same except you're adding a little bit more push down on the tail. So the first thing you're going to want to have down is understanding the concept of a shove-it. And more specifically for this trick, you'll want to learn them fakie. So the motion for a shove-it comes mostly in your back foot. By having your back foot somewhat in the pocket of the board and maybe a bit off the edge, you just need to slightly press down on the tail and then pull your toes back behind you. I've covered this concept in my How to Pop Shove It video, so if you want more on how to scoop the board, then you should go over and watch that one first. So you want to get really used to this feeling of shoving the board because that's one of the most important parts of this trick. You can see in these slow down clips that when I do my fakie big spins, that back foot is pulling back behind me in order to get the board to rotate. The next thing that you'll want to practice is this same shoving motion, except you're also going to start turning your body backside. This is going to help you put more power into the board in order to get a fuller 360 rotation, as well as start getting you comfortable with that backside rotation of your body. While standing still, there's not really a distinction between regular and fakie, and you might notice that it's hard to get the board to rotate all the way around, but once you actually start this while rolling, you'll see that the momentum is in your favor and it's easier to rotate. So the next thing you may want to try is rotating the board while rolling. And don't worry too much about the body rotation for this part. You can practice just rolling fakie and then shoving the board and seeing if you can get it to do a full rotation. You may notice that the board is flipping over, but this is something that won't really happen once you're actually moving your body with the board and keeping your feet above it. So next up, we're going to start to introduce that backside pivot, which is going to give you a lot of push in order to get the board to fully rotate, as well as getting you comfortable doing the backside 180 with your body. So once you're comfortable with that, you're going to want to start putting these two things together. While rolling fakie, you're going to give the board a shove while also turning your body backside as if you were doing a pivot. And also make sure that when you're giving the board the shove it, you're hopping up a little bit in order to give the board room to rotate. For now, just practice by keeping your front foot over the board and you can just land with your back foot off to the side. Here's where you should see that the board is starting to get a full rotation and it's no longer flipping over because your front foot is hovering over it and preventing it from flipping. So practice this movement a whole bunch until you're really comfortable with it, up to the point where you can pretty much get the board to do the full rotation and your body's turning backside. Another really important part of this trick, which is important for all tricks that involve a 180 with your body, are the winding and then unwinding of your shoulders in the direction that you're spinning. You can overemphasize this when you're doing fakie pivots, but just make sure that when you're first learning this trick, you're swinging your shoulders the direction that you want to go because then your hips will naturally follow. And then the more comfortable you get, you don't have to put so much emphasis into the swinging of your shoulders. So now that you've learned all these individual steps and you understand the concept of shoving the board, as well as starting to add in a rotation with your body while you're swinging your shoulders, you can start actually trying this trick while landing with both feet. At first you may notice you're not getting a full rotation, but as long as you're landing on the board with both feet, then you're making progress. You can try adding in a little bit more swing of your shoulders in order to get a full rotation, and you can also try popping a little bit less on the tail if it's flipping over on you. And then hopefully, after all has been done right, you should be able to put these all together and land the trick. So I think that this is a great trick for beginners to learn because it feels really cool. And it's actually nowhere near as hard as it looks once you understand it. Plus, because you're riding fakie, the rotation is so much easier to get than a regular big spin. So here are a few of my Fakie Bigspins. Just watch for a few of the things that I mentioned earlier, like the way that my back foot shoves the board, and the way that I swing my shoulders into the direction of the rotation. And all in all, if you have these down well, you can see how easy it is to just hop and turn your body really quickly. So I hope that this video helped you and maybe gave you some new information. And just know that with enough practice, you can do this trick. So besides that, I'd like to thank you for watching, and you can like and subscribe if you want.